Warning, here comes a big brain teaser. Science shows that your brain runs on sugar. So, why are some scientists now saying that sugar can damage your brain and destroy your memory? What's the truth? You may not realize it, but at this very moment, sugar is either helping or hurting your brain. But which is it? Let's investigate. How sugar affects your brain. Is glucose erasing your memory? That's a tough question to answer. The human body, the human brain, and their chemical interactions with sugar are all super complex. But what if I told you that your favorite sugary snacks might be shrinking your memory and fogging up your brain, especially if you have type 2 diabetes? Sounds scary, but is all sugar the same? Can the sugar you eat from one food power your mind, while sugar from another food silently kills your brain cells and your memory? Adeline Step 1919 is concerned. I have been following a pre diabetic diet and it's not working. I absolutely hate the food I'm allowed to eat. I can follow it for about 6 weeks and then I just stop eating completely because of my distaste for these foods. Then I'm hungry all the time and feel weak. Am I the only one who has this problem? I would rather starve than eat this stuff. We hear you, Adeline Step, and we know that many foods suggested to diabetics and pre-diabetics may not be very enjoyable to your taste buds. If you have any thoughts or suggestions on tasty foods that also fight diabetes, please leave a comment below. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. Now, let's see what happens to your brain when you consume sugar. Unfortunately, you probably eat more of this stuff than you realize. Sugar is everywhere. It's not just in your coffee and your sweet snack foods. It can be hidden in many foods you think are healthy. Sugar is also a natural component of some truly beneficial foods, even vegetables. Now, once inside your body, the sugar you eat from any food, be it a cookie or a vegetable, will get converted into glucose. And glucose is brain food, literally. It is the main fuel source, not just of your muscle cells, but also of your brain and nerve cells. In fact, the human brain gobbles up about 20% of your body's energy, and most of that is from glucose. That's right, your brain needs and loves sugar. So, shouldn't eating a whole lot of sugar be great for your brain, and maybe even turn you into a temporary genius? Uh, well, to put it bluntly, no. Just like too much gas can flood an engine, too much sugar can flood your brain. Do you know why enjoying that piece of candy or cake or soft drink can make you feel really good at first, but not so great a little later in the day? It's all about chemistry. Sugar signals your brain to release dopamine, the feel good hormone. This is the very same neurotransmitter involved in addiction to damaging drugs and alcohol. This is why you may find yourself craving chocolate, and eating that piece of chocolate will create a powerful reward cycle and make you crave more and more of chocolate or other sugary treats. And this hit of dopamine is what triggers that sugar rush. But these fun feelings are short lived. And if you have experienced a sugar rush, then you will no doubt have also felt the effects of a sugar crash, the inevitable conclusion of consuming a lot of quick energy glucose. As your body energy crashes, so will your mental energy. And that's why you may find that your morning pastry or after lunch dessert results in afternoon brain fog, concentration difficulty, and mood swings. But let's circle back to the addiction aspect of sugar for just a second, because it is a critical component of how sugar affects your brain health. Regular dopamine release from regular sugar consumption creates new neurological reward pathways, meaning it rewires your brain to seek out more and more sugar. This can override your rational decision making processes. Essentially, yes, sugar can be addictive, and the more sugar you eat, the more sugar your brain will desire. Meanwhile, a rise in your glucose naturally causes your pancreas to release extra insulin in order to manage this excess sugar floating around in your bloodstream. Now, just like your muscles, your brain needs insulin to acquire energy. But chronic high insulin levels can force your brain to become less responsive to insulin over time. The less responsive your cells are to insulin, the less glucose gets fed to your cells. And that's why insulin resistance can make your muscles feel sluggish, while also impairing your ability to think clearly and form new memories. Plus, all that extra glucose that does not make its way into your cells will get stored as fat. And that's why eating more sugar can lead to weight gain, which can then heighten your resistance to insulin. This is why the damage of diabetes is called a vicious cycle. So, added weight around your midsection could be a warning sign that your brain is also becoming less responsive to insulin and may have increased difficulty in receiving proper amounts of energy. Actually, this should tell you something. Alzheimer's disease has been referred to as type 3 diabetes because of the role insulin resistance plays in its development. Indeed, scientists often say that diabetes is on a continuum with mental decline, meaning having diabetes can likely lead to cognitive issues. In fact, studies show that aging diabetics have a 60% higher risk of developing dementia than non diabetics. But here's an interesting fact, and a bit of good news. A multi year Australian study found that type 2 diabetics who used the diabetes medication metformin had significantly slower mental decline and a lower risk of dementia than diabetics who did not take metformin. This shows that maintaining a good blood sugar balance is not only beneficial for your weight and your heart, but also for your brain. And it's pretty clear that having insulin resistance can create several pathways that eventually lead to brain issues and memory impairment. But does this mean that there are certain foods that can work in the opposite manner and potentially reduce your risk of cognitive decline? Stick around to the end of this video because we'll show you some of the world's most proven foods for improving your brain health. Now, here's something you may not realize. There is a common denominator between all these diabetes linked issues, which is what really causes serious damage to your nervous system and your brain. I'm talking about inflammation. Acute inflammation is like a smoke detector blaring during a sudden and immediately dangerous kitchen fire. Your system will respond quickly and douse the flames. Chronic inflammation, on the other hand, is more like a small simmering fire that is never fully put out. Instead, it is left to smolder day after day, and that can lead to serious damage that you may not immediately notice. At first, you may simply feel unfocused, irritable, or mentally foggy, but over the long run, a constant state of low grade inflammation in your brain will disrupt the signal between neurons. And over time, diabetes linked chronic inflammation can drive your levels of oxidative stress. Now, oxidative stress raises your risk of many conditions, including cancer, but this condition is like cellular overheating in your brain. And the chronic free radical damage of oxidative stress can attack and eventually kill neurons and brain cells. This will shrink your brain volume, particularly in the memory and decision making areas of your brain. Oxidative stress can also speed the aging of your brain tissue. That can contribute to slower processing speed, worsened memory, and a reduced attention span. Now, there's yet another way that diabetes can create conditions in your body that will heighten your risk of mental decline. And this problem may not be one you associate with brain issues, but you should have a gut feeling about it, because chronic high blood sugar can disrupt your gut microbiome. Let's see how sugar floating through your belly region can cause serious harm in your head. So, foods high in probiotics help to colonize your gut microbiome with more beneficial bacterial strains, while dietary fiber and prebiotics feed this beneficial gut bacteria. But eating high sugar foods will feed the potentially harmful types of bacteria within your gut. This can cause dysbiosis, or an imbalance in your gut microbiome, with the more harmful strains overpopulating your helpful bacteria. This has the effect of weakening or eating away at your gut lining. Over time, that can create gut permeability, otherwise known as dreaded leaky gut syndrome. With this condition, toxins, bacterial fragments, undigested food particles, and sugar have a heightened opportunity to leak into your bloodstream and find their way to your brain. Over time, this can result in a heightened resistance to insulin in your brain. But let's not understate the immediate impact that a leaky gut can have on your brain. by creating neuroinflammation. This can make you feel less focused, worsen your mood, and potentially cause lapses in your memory. Plus, as it turns out, several types of neurotransmitters, including serotonin and dopamine, are either produced in the gut or regulated in the gut. So, gut imbalances can affect the production and release of these brain altering chemicals and further disrupt your mood, your sleep, and your cognitive processing. On top of all this, gut inflammation and the metabolic dysfunction of diabetes can also mess with your vagus nerve, the neural connection line between your gut and your brain. Studies show that vagus nerve damage can also lead to mood changes, learning difficulties, and it can interfere with the normal function of brain regions involved in memory. So, here is the overarching picture that research paints. Sugar is a main source of energy for your body and especially your brain. But too much sugar can cause significant damage to several areas of your body that are linked to your brain health. And sugar in your brain can directly result in worsened diabetes management and several serious cognitive issues, including, yes, memory loss. Now, this begs the question, how much sugar is too much for your brain? And here's another one. Where can you expect to find good sugar for your brain? Here's the truth: a moderate intake of sugar, especially from natural sources of complex carbohydrates, including fruits, vegetables, and even dairy, can be beneficial to your brain health and provide all the energy your brain requires for proper functioning. At the same time, excessive sugar consumption, especially in the form of added sugars and simple carbohydrates from sources like processed snack foods, chocolate, and even white bread, can negatively impact brain function and potentially lead to sugar addiction, mood and anxiety issues, weight gain, insulin resistance, and memory problems. For optimal brain health, here's what the World Health Organization recommends. Limit your daily sugar intake to no more than 10% of your total energy intake. You may even consider making your sugar consumption only 5% of your total caloric intake if you are looking to improve your memory and overall brain health. This means the average adult should keep their daily added sugar allotment to the equivalent of 6 to 12 teaspoons. This goal can be surprisingly difficult to achieve. In fact, a 2021 study showed that the average American adult consumes around 18 teaspoons of added sugar daily. So, many doctors and nutritionists now say you should simply cut out all added sugar, meaning forego the sugar in your coffee and avoid most breads and all those packaged goodies, including potato chips, crackers, candies, and even most condiments, especially high sugar ketchup. Your brain can easily receive all the sugar it requires when you eat natural foods, especially most vegetables and many types of fruit. So, here are some of the very best, most nutrient dense, and diabetes fighting natural sources of sugar that can help to power your brain and improve your memory. Start with spinach, broccoli, kale, walnuts, and wild caught salmon. Some of the best brain food fruits include bananas, apples, blueberries, grapes, oranges, cherries, and mangoes. We'll go more in depth with the best foods for your brain in an upcoming video, so stay tuned